Now, the dirty little secret is they're only telling you no because they're going to save you a bunch of money.
You're going to be on your own. There's no one to ask for help with.
People look at franchising and they think it's more expensive. And I can tell you that's almost always not the case. All right. So, Andrea, what do you tell people when they ask you, is franchising really less risky? What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, that comes up a lot, right, with our clients. And I think really the way franchise is designed, it's really there to sort of maximize your opportunity and decrease that risk. So somebody's tried it, they've tested it, they've proven it works. They know, they've spent that time to really figure out what the model is. And then you just have to come in and execute on it. So really, I always tell clients, one of the best examples is probably the company that we first owned, the cleaning company. Lowest barrier to entry of any business I could think of, right? There's millions of cleaning companies out there. But where we got to 500 customers in less than 4 years. That's really big. And we couldn't have done that without the franchise system. So if we didn't have the marketing, the platforms that they have, the technology, everything they gave us to get off the ground and running, that's why we were able to scale to that large of a business. And so it makes it less risky than having to go figure that all out on your own, right? You come in, somebody's already figured it out. You just have to build your business off of that. Yeah. Anything to add to that, Kris?
It's well said.
So, Kris, that's my thoughts. Anything to add to that?
You know, I think I like to keep things simple, right? So for anybody listening, think about what you do right now, whatever it is, what you do in your job and your career, what you know about your particular industry. And if I was trying to get into your industry right now and I said, hey, I'll pay you X amount of dollars, just teach me everything you know, everything you've learned the hard way, all the bumps and bruises you've taken, but I'm getting into your industry. You think it'd be money well spent? Would I get my money's worth if I knew everything you've learned over whatever, last 10, 20 years?
Yeah.
Almost everybody will go like, oh yeah. Stuff I've learned? Yeah, be very, very well spent. It's as simple as that, right? So I don't think there's too many good arguments that it's not less risky. Doesn't mean there's no risk. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed. But that's largely because it's so much is dependent on you, the franchise owner, right? That's the variable, right? So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay. So Andrea, another question we get asked a lot is, do you lose creative freedom when you become part of a franchise?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Good question. I mean, we always tell people, right? It's a game plan. They give you this proven game plan. You come in, you execute on it. So you think, okay, great, I just have to do that. And I have no thought or creativity to it. No, you have the day-to-day operations, right? They're giving you the guardrails so that you can come in and figure out, okay, this is what works over here. We've tried this, it doesn't work over here. And in the middle, that's where you get to kind of figure out what works. You get to pull from the marketing material that they have and really put it together. I think this piece is going to work in my market versus this piece. I always give one example. When we owned the barbershop, we were doing digital marketing. Every other franchisee in the system, they were using men's haircut, crew cuts. For some reason, barbershops didn't work for them. I had to figure that out, and I said, barbershops work. So I focused my marketing on barbershops. That was a word that worked in Massachusetts. It didn't work in other areas. So that's an example of where you still have that creativity, but they're giving you the foundation to really build off of.
Yeah, I think people need to separate these kind of higher level concerns with the day-to-day. Day-to-day, you're in business for yourself. Like you're out there making it happen, right? But yeah, there are higher level concerns. And I think there's a distinction whenever you have something that can affect the brand, right? If you have a new marketing idea that's never been tried before, if you want to change things that are already working, yeah, the answer always is you need to check with the brand and you got to get approval from the brand, right? So those bigger considerations, there definitely are limits. Now, the dirty little secret is you're only hearing no, you can't try that, you can't do that, if they've tried it and it didn't work. So usually they're only telling you no because they're going to save you a bunch of money,
yeah.
Right? But day to day, you're tweaking everything all the time, the scripts, what you say to people. So I think you have much more freedom day to day, hour to hour than most people would expect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they tried it. Most likely somebody's tried it, or they tried a version of it. And maybe it's, we tried this, it didn't work, let's pivot. So it's not that they're going to say a big no. Sometimes it's, let's see, when we tried a version, let's pivot a little bit. I think that's a great idea, especially when you're in a more emerging brand too, right? I think those are the great brands for somebody who needs a little bit more creativity. Those early franchisees are really helping shape sort of that foundation a little bit.
Well said.
So Kris, tell me, let's talk about what kind of person actually thrives in more of a startup, independent business versus starting a franchise?
Yeah, a few ways to answer that question. I'd say there's two people that I see pretty commonly. So the first person is somebody who the thrill of it, the challenge of it, going into business for themselves is actually having ownership of every single little step, being able to call every single thing their own. So what they can ultimately look at it and say, that was all me, right? I'm not saying that's the best way, but they're driven by that. And we're not here to change people. So if that's you, go for it. And franchising probably isn't for you. The other kind of person is folks that have a very specific interest in niches that just aren't franchisable. So you get these highly technical people that have very specific interests in what's going on with AI and this and that, and they want to pursue that. Franchising isn't for you. But I tell people there's plenty of good reasons not to buy a franchise. But we try here at The Perfect Franchise to make sure if you're saying no to franchising or you're saying no to a particular franchise, that you're saying no for the right reason. And the wrong reasons usually is that people look at franchising and they think it's more expensive. And I can tell you that's almost always not the case. It's wrong, right? Franchising comes with a price tag, a very definitive price tag that's right in your face. You know, this is what's it going to cost for the franchise fee. This is the total investment. And when you do something on your own, there is no price tag. You're just kind of cobbling it together as you go. It's kind of murky. It's vague. And you can fool yourself into thinking, well, it's going to end up being a lot less expensive. But the reality is when you take a longer view, look at all the money you'll spend in a startup over your first 2 or 3 years in business and compare that to the price tag that comes with a franchise, it's not even close. Not only is a franchise not more expensive, I can almost guarantee you a good franchise saves you a ton of money from doing your own thing. I fully believe that. What do you think, Andrea? You've done it twice. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think 100% that where you started out sort of that kind of look at yourself. If you're somebody who really wants to be in, you don't want to work with other people, you want to build it all from scratch, or you don't want to follow a game plan, you want to sort of blow it up. I use my dad as an example. I'm sorry, Dad, if you're watching this, but he would not be a good franchise owner. There's no doubt in my mind. He's always like, well, why did you do it this way? When my husband and I had our business, we're like, because the franchise told us it worked. Well, I think you should do it this way. Those people that are overly opinionated, and it doesn't mean, I think they're great for trying their own business. It's probably to your last point that you made, Kris. It may cost you a lot more time and money to get there. It doesn't mean you don't get there, but if you're somebody who wants to come in and have that foundation and much simpler, easier to grow and scale with a franchise, those are the people that want to come in and follow that game plan. And that's honestly the biggest piece of whether you're successful in a franchise is how much effort you put in and if you follow the game plan. And if you raise your hand and ask for help, you're not going to have that in your startup. You're going to be on your own. There's no one to ask for help with. And so it's just really figuring out what your personality is, because franchising isn't right for everybody, right? And then we tell people that all the time. It's really figuring out, am I somebody who wants that foundation, that game plan? Do I want to be able to grow and scale everything that comes with a franchise?
I agree.